French and American dating culture are so different that when I lived in France, I had a boyfriend without knowing it, not once, but twice. And what's funny is that this is actually a really common problem. Like, I've heard a lot of other American creators talk about this, and while I've heard a lot of story times about Americans not knowing that they had a boyfriend or a girlfriend in France, I haven't yet seen anyone explain why. And what I find really interesting is this dating miscommunication is actually just one symptom of a larger cultural difference between the US and France that I learned about from reading this book called The Culture Map, which was recommended to me by one of my followers. Not sponsored, by the way. I just find it super interesting, and so I wanted to share. But basically what the book talks about is that when it comes to cultural communication styles, the US is considered what is called a low context culture, and France is considered a high context culture. And actually, according to this book, the US is the lowest context culture in the world. Low context cultures prioritize clear and direct communication in order to limit misunderstanding, whereas high context cultures often have implied messages or expect you to read between the lines in order to understand what is being communicated. And how this cultural difference plays out practically, like in the example of dating, is that in a low context culture like the United States, we are known for asking something like, do you want to be my boyfriend? Do you want to be my girlfriend? And making it official. Whereas in France, you can be in a relationship with someone just by acting like you're in a relationship with someone. So the context of the situation, like going on multiple dates, kissing, doing things that are coupley, is enough to express that you are in a relationship. And here's a little diagram from the book that maps out where a bunch of different countries are on the scale from low to high context. The question still remains is why? Why are some countries more low context and why are some more high context? And while there are some patterns about the language family, for example, English speaking countries tend to be more low context, or Romance speaking countries tend to be kind of clumped together. But another major pattern that you can see between the high context and low context countries is that high context countries tend to have a longer shared history together and are more homogenous, whereas low context countries tend to have a shorter shared history and also be a lot more diverse. And so places like the United States, with a shorter shared history and many different waves of immigration with people coming from all over the world, means that we created a culture of clear and direct communication so that we limit misunderstanding. And an analogy from the book that I really like, that's from anthropologist Edward Hall, is comparing low context cultures and high context cultures to different types of married couples. Low context are more like newlyweds who still have to explain a lot of stuff to each other, whereas high context cultures are more like a married couple that's been together for 60 years that can basically read each other's mind, even from the most minute change in their expression. Anyway, I just find this stuff so interesting, and if you want more, I'd be happy to make more videos about it. Just let me know in the comments below.